Acquistare è sempre un atto morale.
Buying is always a moral action, other than an economic one. That's what Pope Benedict XVI wrote. We normally attribute responsibility to companies that produce food products that we eat every day. Often, the most important, the decisive role and the persuasive power is in the hands of consumers. So consumers' role is really fundamental for decisions that concern the economic development of a country. There is a precise responsibility. Consumers must be more responsible. The EU issued a document last May, and that also states the same idea. What can each of us do? We can vote with our wallet. That's the provocative message that Professor Becchetti has launched. I would like to thank him and the other guest speakers today with us. I thank you all for being here and give you the floor. Professor Becchetti. Thank you. I'll be using a presentation as a support. Well, this latest provocative message was launched by Pope Francis actually a few days ago in his message. He refers to a particular wallet that not just citizens can vote with their wallet, but also the state. He said it would be a scandal if public money were used to bail out industries that do not contribute to the inclusion of the excluded, the promotion of the least, the common good, and the care of creation. These are the criteria to help industries in which contributes to include the excluded, promote the least, the common good, or the care of creation. This promotion makes us understand that the definition of voting with our wallet is wide. It can concern the private choices of public administrations. In our choices, we can decide whether to consume or to save, and rewarding with our choices those companies that are leaders in creating economic value that is sustainable in terms of society and the environment. That's what I would like to have written on my grave. He fought for voting with our wallet, because if everybody voted with our wallet, the world would change. It is true, but there are four main obstacles. First, awareness. Many people are not aware that they hold the key of their lockers inside their wallet, but then I can be happy when I go to a shop, but then I can't really find my way around when I have to make a choice. There's too many choices, and then coordinating choices. When we take our car to repair, it's easy. The person in charge has to repair it. Then physicians instead also needs the collaboration of patients, but politicians and economists has it more difficult, because voting with our wallet is the perfect recipe, but if just one applies it, or unless this is applied by a big number of people, we can't have the results we look for. So we need collaboration to solve this problem, and this is applicable to all economic and political choices. And then there is the gravity law of the price. What happens when voting with our wallet means paying more? That's what people ask always when we face this problem. Let's have a look at those that made it. Finance. Finance started 12 years ago with the SGR experience, grouping together Banca Etica, BPR, and many other Italian banks. This was a pioneering experience 12 years ago, but then today, an inter-religious fund for corporate responsibility was created. And you see what the slide says: leveraging investors' power to catalyze social change. There is the young lady before the bull of the stock exchange in New York. It's a nice image. So finance, in terms of voting with our wallet, has won. We need to be socially responsible. And why is it so? Larry Fink explains that, saying that without a sense of purpose, no company, either public or private, can achieve its full potential. It will ultimately lose the license to operate from the key stakeholders. and it will give subpar returns. It will be too risky for investors. So today, all investment funds vote with their wallet simply because they don't want to take on an excessive risk of those companies that are not on the way of social responsibility, that sooner or later will face problems because they might have conflicts with their stakeholders. In finance, this was successful because it could overcome those four obstacles. Funds are aware, they are informed, they buy information, they don't need to put together decisions of many, they decide for consumers' decisions, and returns are significant. However, in consumption, that is today's topic, there's something different, that is the issue of price. And I want to talk about this with an anecdote. A few days ago, I went to Verona train station and a coffee cost €1.20. It was Solidarity coffee. And I was saying, well, in the Verona train station, people vote with their wallet, but a person on Twitter said, well, 120 for a coffee, that's too much. And I said, well, I think this is important to avoid people being exploited. And that person replies, well, I hope so, but you're talking to somebody who has a precarious job and gets a salary of 150 euros. To me, that doesn't mean anything. Well, I can't take a coffee that costs that much. It's not serious, but it's just a bit sad. And then there are other replies of people that say that people have been doing this for a long time with fair trade shops. And then I replied that everybody that can vote with their wallet, they do it because they can have a better job, and for other people to have a better job, and that's the aim. So there is a division, there is a gap between people that can't do it, they can't vote with their wallet, but there is a large part of Italian people that can do it, and that part of Italy must vote with their wallet to create a better economy, to help and improve the conditions of those that can't make it. So on price, there's many answers. If that Italy that can do it does it, then things will change, because sustainable companies will be successful, there will be decent jobs, and the environment will be protected. It doesn't mean that we have to spend more money. We have to be activists in the society where we live. For example, promoting this idea on social media. There is a corporate welfare platforms. These can vote with their wallet in the products that they propose to their employees. Are we then sure that we can't vote with our wallet in the food industry? There is an issue of food education. How much do we spend in gambling or in smoking? Do we think that spending a little bit more for a healthy product is not important? A famous sociologist says when something costs too little, you should be worried about that. The problem is not just about somebody being exploited, but also it's a problem of consumers. Be careful with what you buy. And then we said it at the beginning with the Pope's statement, there is an issue of public spending, because 20% concerns public spending. So the common good should also be considered there, that the public administration should also vote with their wallet. There are some minimum social criteria that must be considered, and these are being considered and being requested by the European Union more and more. These are basically the statements, the slogans that I propose to be yourself promoter of this idea of voting with our wallet, seeing that you have the key to solve your problems, and then the metaphor of the car shop where and the difference with the physicians and the activists, and then that if everybody votes with their wallet, then problems will be solved. And Bernard Russell says that voting with our wallet can generate an important aspect of our life, that is being consumers. And Bernard Russell said, I tried fruit much more than I used to do when I knew that they started being cultivated in China in the Han Dynasty, and then Chinese that were taken hostage by the great Kanishka introduced them in India, and then they spread to the Roman Empire at the beginning of our era, and all this made that fruit taste sweeter. but this is important to understand that being aware of a product that we buy that can contribute to a positive impact on society is fundamental. So when we buy that kind of product, we feel happier and that product tastes better. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Becchetti. And I'd say that you have really explained what it is meant by voting with your wallet. And you also talked about the 4 obstacles that can actually hinder this kind of vote. But we have some case histories that show that this kind of consumption is actually possible. We have, first of all, Andrea Valenziani from Sicily. So my name is Andrea Valenziani. I'm an agricultural entrepreneur. This is not my background actually, because since well, I started as a physiotherapist, and I really wanted to go away from the farm. I didn't want to work on the farm that belonged to my family, and maybe I really thought of moving away from Sicily. I went to study away from Sicily, and I in a way discovered a new world, and I acquired a new hope with reference to what I could do in my region. So I just went back to Sicily, I went back to my farm, and I started to work as a farmer with new ideas. So now I am a farmer together with my partner, and we have a farm in the province of Siracusa. It is in a very beautiful scenario, but it is quite difficult because of the soil, because there are a lot of rocks, there are a lot of terraces, so it's difficult to make projects that are low cost. So we need to really enhance and give new value to our products, which is not easy, also because we are very careful in terms of environmental and social impact of our production. The problem of the sale of the product has been overcome with a network of enterprises and the creation of a system where the trading of our products and the different people working with us are interconnected. We have really created relationships with these people who buy from us because they love the quality of our products, but they also love the way we work, we produce. So we do not ask them to, so to speak, do us a favor and spend more in buying our products. We do our best to keep the prices low, but we do not want to give up that part of the quality dimension that is linked with the environmental and social impact. We have simplified packaging, we have made the supply chain shorter, and we have created a balanced commercial situation which makes it possible for us to sell these products. My professional journey started 12 years ago, but this network was created 5 years ago, and when we have about 60 enterprises interconnected that sell our product in different European countries. So what do your customers, consumers say? Well, they are satisfied. And we know that because they are always the same consumers and customers. We have trade relationships that are lasting, and they are based on an unwritten agreement and a pact that is now covering the whole network. So we commit ourselves to produce by respecting the territory, but also with contracts with our workers that are lasting, that are regular, and on the other side, the consumers understand our needs as producers, and so we do respect the cycle of the seasons. It's easy to buy something on a big supermarket, but if we want to really be sure that the product is fresh, we have to wait for the product to be ready. So we receive orders from our customers, wait for the products to be ready, and then we actually send our products everywhere in Europe. So this is the kind of value that we have given to our products. This is the result of a working group that was made up of 7 people 5 years ago, and now we have 35 people participating in this group, and most of them are regularly hired staff members, which is not so common in Sicily, and we have great satisfaction in what we do in our work. How did you overcome the fact that farmers are not so likely to become a part of an association to then sell their products? Well, I have to say that at the beginning we did have some problems because there were a lot of cases of associations that did not succeed in Sicily. So we really had to give a new example. We did that in a very practical way, through facts rather than through words. We have a method which is extremely clear. We are very precise in payments. The producers have a monthly report on what it has been sold, what has been wasted because of quality issues. So there are a lot of things, of elements that generate trust in our everyday work. So, well, you need to be extremely precise and attentive, and we wanted to have a system which is horizontal, because we do not want a vertical system, which is the typical system of the agricultural system or agricultural enterprises in Sicily. Please tell us about your friend in Milan who asked you for help. Yes, we have actually commercial partners that are not only end consumers, which is an expression that our customers do not like at all. Anyway, we also have small retailers and small enterprises and farms who buy products from us. Well, we are friends because we work together, and recently they asked help because they had studied our model and they wanted to rationalize some processes in terms of digitalization and online offer, and because we are Sicilians, we went to Milan. Who went there? Well, this is the most interesting part of the whole thing. We help or we work with young people, especially with young migrants, and 3 years ago, one of these migrants came to Sicily, and he went to Milan 1 month ago to represent our organization, to talk about the way we work, to help this enterprise in Milan rationalize its own production. So it's really something very different from what we are used to. So, well, the southern regions can do something for northern regions, because the markets of the north of Italy look at us with appreciation. Thank you. Well, it would have been nice to have a round of applause, but unfortunately we have no audience here with us today. So from this experience in Sicily, which has been described in a very precise way. So, well, small-sized, but with a great educational value. Now we move to a very famous product in northern Italy, which is the protected nomination of origin product that is most sold in the world, Grana Padano. And we have here with us Mr. Pezzini, who is the president of a cooperation of producers. Well, it is really a pleasure for me to talk about our story in this environment, because it is a story that starts with a family. We have a cattle growing enterprise, and we started to produce milk. And we always thought that innovation was a key point. We use milking machines, and well, the whole path was quite difficult. But in the end, we managed to achieve positive technical results. And there is an aspect that is now common among milk producers, that is to say that cows produce milk and energy. We produce 10 to 12 kilowatt of energy every day that are then used for our activities and production within the enterprise. We just use 1/8 of this energy. The rest is becomes part of the energy network. So this is obviously renewable, clean energy. So this helps keeping the environment cleaner. So this is the story of the farm, of the dairy farm. Then this milk is transformed in cheese. Together with other 26 partners, there is this cooperation. We produce the Grana Padano cheese, which is well, we started to produce 54 years ago, and there were a few changes and innovations recently. We have now a new plant, and we now produce 60,000 cheese wheels, and the different members participate. We're really lucky because we have a lot of young people participating in the life of the enterprise, and during the lockdown they were available to deliver to our consumers our products in the province of Mantua. So this was really something that made the members of the association, the cooperative, even closer. We have a lot of teaching activities for very young people, disabled people, and people who have particular experiences. They are invited to participate in our production, and this is something extremely important for us because it is a way to actually have a communication with our own territory. Another characteristic of our farm is that through this cooperative, which has this extraordinary objective, that is to say the well-being of the members, we tried to identify the differences of the different members and to create a synergy of the similar characteristics. So these differences actually were turned into our products. So the Grana Padano cheese produced by us is, well, we have a classical cheese, traditional production. Then we have some enterprises that decided to have an environmental friendly production. And then there are we have also enterprises that produce Grana Padano using hay. And then we have also, and this is something very special, a few weeks in the year we produce kosher Grana Padano cheese for the Israeli market. So this is one of the characteristics that single us out in a reality which is that of the Consortium for the Safeguard of Grana Padano, which includes 129 dairy farms, and this is one of the examples that are, I think, most unique. And we have 38% of enterprises that are a part of the industry, and 62% are cooperatives, and they all participate together in a project that over the years, thanks to the experience that came from the friars of the Abbey of Chiaravalle, where over 1 million years ago created this kind of cheese in order to use the milk they produced. Well, thanks to this recipe, we created this manual, which is very, very strict, with very precise rules in order to produce a cheese which is still as it used to be, so to speak, in the past. These are the data of the production of Grana Padano. It's the first protected denomination of origin product in the world. It is a cheese that gives what has about 40,000 people working in the sector, and we have a very high production of these cheese. Well, every cheese requires 500 liters of milk. So the volumes of the consortium from the productive side to the consumer are up to 3.5 billion euros. So this is an aspect that is extremely important because it gives us the idea of the size of the supply chain. Over 40% of Grana Padano is exported. Over 2 million cheese wheels are sold abroad. 3 million are sold in Italy. Then, from the analysis that were carried out, we know that 12% of Italian consumers do not use Grana Padano. That is to say, 88% of Italian consumers use Grana Padano. We have 26 million households in Italy, so we can see that Grana Padano has really an important value, an absolute value in terms of consumption. So after bread, Grana Padano is one of the most popular products in Italy. That means that the producers have a great responsibility, because if you have such a popular product, a widespread popular, what we can actually communicate, so to speak, through this product is extremely important for consumers. Grana Padano has a century-long tradition, but it is also an innovative product, a product that is loved by young people, and it also has an important component in terms of animal welfare and in terms of sustainability. Sustainability will have to be measured and communicated in a very clear way. It has to be more than an advertising tool, but it has to become an economic opportunity for all products that are based on sustainability. So when you're part of this kind of consortium, and when you produce something like Grana Padano, you really feel this a very important responsibility towards the consumers, and in particular Italian consumers. Your consumers do buy with their wallets then, because there are a lot of products on the market that are similar to your product. What kind of impact does this phenomenon have? Well, these similar products are now not so common anymore, because Grana Padano has communicated, has transmitted its value over time. Then there are also some rules in terms of supply chain and distribution chains, and there are also important elements like the sustainability value. So this actually enhances the content of the product. You can name these enterprises if you want to, or these distribution chains. I cannot do that because otherwise I would also have to talk about other distribution chains who actually lead to a very, very hard competition among producers, and this is not right. So, well, the differences depend also on the philosophy that is at the basis of the trade to supply chain. So this is our responsibility.
Mammi, che è assessore.
Now the floor goes to Councillor Mammi, who is Councillor for Agriculture in the Emilia-Romagna region. We are in the Emilia-Romagna region. The meeting has been held in Rimini for 41 years, so the role of public authorities is truly important to promote sustainable and ethical consumption, and to also assure communication that can promote products that respect the community and the environment. So we look forward to listening to Councillor Mammi has done and is going to do in the future. I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me, and it is great to be here in such a difficult and particular year that could not be taken for granted. We really need moments like this for swapping experiences and understanding more. And in today's debate, we're talking about culture. When we talk about food, we talk about culture. Emilia-Romagna is an extraordinary area. There is evidence of this in the figures that were shown before in the video that was shown before the session. We had 44 protected denomination of origin products. We might be the first or second or third region in terms of these products, but that's not important. The important thing is that there is great attention to the identity of the local communities, of the territory where the products are made. So there's really great attention to all this, and it is also an area that is home of Pellegrino Artusi, who is known all over the world. He's of his origins are from here, from this region, and he worked so much on food, not just as a form to sustain oneself. It is culture, because it is a relationship with the environment, it is a relationship with the people, with the supply chain of the subjects producing every day. So if it is culture, it has to have the right value. That's the main point. Over the last few months, I have visited many farms. After the lockdown, I started visiting many farms producing vegetables, wine, fruit, pasta, and I saw the efforts and the work and the dedication behind the work of thousands of companies. There are 45,000 companies in Italy. There are 70,000 employees in agriculture, and I saw all the effort behind it. So when one goes to a supermarket and sees big discounts on food products, I'm shocked. As citizens, we should react, because when a kilo of peaches cost less than €1, if we consider all the work behind it, well, that doesn't make any sense. It is a problem, because that's evidence of how food is not given the value it deserves sometimes. There are some social groups that have economic difficulties, and they have to be helped to consume well, but there are also many other families or households that could consume well, but they are attracted by these special offers by supermarkets, and these are excessive discounts. So there is a big work in terms of culture and food education. I would go back to the 10 rules written by Artusi 100 years ago, putting food at the center. And so what's behind food, that is agriculture. We understood that during the lockdown, that there's two factors that are indispensable for our own life and the life of our community, that is health and food, and so agriculture producing it. So if that's the case, if we need to give it the right value, then we have to work more in food education. Perhaps until the 60s or the 70s, there used to be a subject like domestic economy. I don't want to go back to that, teaching what wives should do and what men should do. No, that's not the point. I want to go back to food education to make people understand what is behind food production, what we have in front of our selves when we eat. It's a big commitment, it's a big work, and it will be very useful and important. That's why in 2021 we will focus on this type of initiative, and we will allot resources, especially for young people, to give the right value to the quality of the food we eat. Because we are one of the regions that produce most protected denomination of origin products and protected geographical indication products, so people should know what that means. What is a protected denomination of origin product? What is a protected geographical indication product? And we then need to support companies that decide to commit in favor of the environment and social responsibility. And as a local administration, we can do a lot because we have resources and we can make a difference. In 5 years, there has been an increase of 75% in organic production in the Emilia-Romagna region. And that's, of course, the merit of the companies that decided to do so, but that's also the result of 300 million euros invested over 7 years to support organic production and to consolidate integrated production. And that allowed us to be the top region with the 65% organic cultivations in the Emilia-Romagna region, and also integrated cultivations. And so that's really a great result, and the consumers appreciated that. But companies must be supported in this respect to be competitive. Some months ago, we presented our agenda and we had to declare what we wanted to do in every sector. And I put competitiveness of companies in the first place, because the turnover of companies is fundamental. Without resources, there's no future. So a turnover can be obtained through public financing and call for tenders, and to have a competitive community. We've listened to this beautiful project of the Sicilian company making a network with 60 companies and working online, but this implies working on digitization and wideband. A few days ago, I was on holidays in a wonderful destination of our country with a lot of tourists, and there was no internet connection. That shows how much investment should be made on wideband and internet connection. So digital technologies are fundamental, and also companies that decide to invest in sustainability should be supported through dedicated calls. And also there is a social value that should be considered here. In our calls, we have decided to award companies that decided to be part of quality work networks. These networks include companies that comply with certain rules, for example, with respect to contracts, to work contracts. And that's one way to acknowledge the value of these companies. Another way to give the right value to the work of farmers and agriculture and farmers, it is traceability. It is tracking. I think that we will have 2 transition years before getting to the Common Agricultural Policy, and then a new period of 7 years will start. So an important space should be given to the promotion and the protection of protected denominations of origin products and protected geographical indication products. They are fundamental for our economy. In the Emilia-Romagna region, we talk about 3.5 billion agricultural products exported all around the world, but there must be considerable commitment in terms of tracking products, tracing products. So consumers must be put in a condition to choose clearly what they want to eat. They have to know how a product was made, what the origin is. Many times when we go to a supermarket or to a shop, we realize that this value of information clarity and tracing is not safeguarded. So more should be done in this respect. And last point to support the companies is that they should be allowed to access the market easily. 10 euros spent by a citizen in terms of food, only 2 are earned by the company. That's one of the biggest problems. So we should work so that companies should get to the end user and the market more easily to be equally rewarded for the great job that they do. Very well, I'd like to ask a question to all of our guest speakers. Since the meeting is an event open to everybody, families, young people, pensioners, all of them. So I would like to ask you to give a short message of how to choose and how to best vote with one's wallet. Professor Becchetti, what would you tell consumers, just in a few words, and then all the others? Well, I'd say we should not miss this opportunity to change things, because it is something that can make us happy. We have studies from all over the world, and we know that people are happy insofar as what they do has a positive impact, and we can increase the sense of wealth in our life even when we choose what to buy and how to save. Having some products at home, knowing that our money was spent to create something positive, can give more meaning to our life. Andrea?
I think that we have to be very careful when we look at something that could be kind of anonymous, like an orange or a tomato. Let's think about what is behind that fruit, for instance, because the lockdown showed that the supply chain is in a way fragile. So we need to actually try and understand that there might be negative stories behind a product, but there are also very positive stories. So these are the products we should like to buy. So we just need to think about it. Stefano, well, we need to reach our targets, and really we would like that consumers could see our face, the face of our partners, because in order to be chosen, we have to be seen. Alessio. Well, that we have a right to choose every day, in every moment, when we decide how to work, how to travel, but also how to consume. So when you buy a food product, you should pay the same attention that you put into the purchase of a new car, a new mobile phone, or a dress. So if you use the same parameters, then well, the market would be influenced. Devoid of wonder, we remain deaf to the sublime, and well, this is a title that is particularly suitable to this particular moment we are all experiencing. I've always been part of the food sector, and I must say that I am filled with wonder by the stories of these producers, and by the fact that we can always improve what we do. We can always do better. So this session had exactly this purpose, to raise this kind of awareness, and we hope that everyone will vote with their wallets. Thank you.